Being a big-name actor means that you're always in the spotlight, and that provides plenty of opportunities to make everything crumble in an instant. These once-beloved performers made offensive tweets, got arrested, and even threatened to eat people. After Scream and the prank show The Jamie Kennedy Experiment, Jamie Kennedy's prospects faltered. He took on roles in flops like Son of the Mask and dipped his toes into racial caricature with Malibu's Most Wanted. That's not a great place to be. And by 2012, Kennedy was at the point where he had to host a Los Angeles-only New Year's Eve special broadcast on the local CW affiliate. First Night 2013 was what people in the business call a total disaster. In Kennedy's opening monologue, he made an off-color joke about rapper Psy of Gangnam Style fame, saying, "Now when you hear the word Asian rapper, you won't just think of a little plastic bag that holds your fortune cookie." Technical gaffes marred the production, as did product placement for Carl's Jr. and a local casino. The whole point of a New Year's show is the countdown, but Kennedy somehow bungled even that, finding himself unable to locate a clock at midnight and missing the moment by 10 seconds. Kennedy told the New York Times that the program was terrible on purpose. He claimed, "It was totally supposed to be like that. We wanted to make almost an anti-New Year's Eve show."
Are we back? Go! All right.
Regardless, Kennedy has since been making a living by appearing in projects that either make little or no money or go directly to DVD and streaming. At the 1998 Academy Awards, Britain's own Judi Dench was nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role for her work as Queen Victoria in Mrs. Brown. That marked Dench's first of 8 Oscar nominations, raising her profile in the United States, but she was already a sensation in her home country. She had won multiple BAFTA awards and was proclaimed a Dame Commander of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II. Considering all that, it's probably not going to fly with Dench's huge number of fans and admirers if someone publicly disparages her. It certainly didn't go well when her fellow Oscar nominee Minnie Driver did. In 2002, Driver spoke to a newspaper and used Dench to illustrate a point about the differences between the US and the UK. As she put it, "In England, with all due respect, we have some of the plainest actresses in the entire world as our greatest. Maybe it is because theater is the great love of England, but you can have Judi Dench, a very small, round, middle-aged, lovely, mothering type, playing Cleopatra." Driver added that Dench would probably have trouble dealing with American crowds for her live productions. Her statements were enough to earn her the ire of the UK film industry and press, with the Daily Mail describing her statement as a attack. Driver still got work after the Dench incident, but not much in the British Isles. Controversy helped make Kathy Griffin famous, but then she went too far. A certain picture she posted on social media was either a poorly presented joke or a violent threat to the life of a sitting president, depending on who you ask. In May 2017, Griffin posted an image of herself holding a blood-soaked mannequin head made to look like Donald Trump. She was supposedly mocking Trump's remarks that reporter Megyn Kelly had, quote, blood coming out of her wherever. But unfortunately for her, few saw it that way, least of all her employers. CNN quickly canned her from the channel's New Year's Eve broadcasts, and she even lost her contract with Squatty Potty. Yes, Squatty Potty. Even the FBI got involved at one point. Griffin apologized, saying the joke went too far.
"I don't think I will have a career after this. I'm going to be honest, he broke me."
Months later, Griffin seemed less broken. In August 2017, she retracted her apology, saying that the backlash had gone too far. According to her, not only did she lose her CNN gig, but her entire stand-up tour was canceled because most of the theaters got death threats. She asserted that the post cost her jobs, money, and close friendships, and she was tired of apologizing for something that she felt was blown way out of proportion. Griffin returned to the road for a sold-out tour in 2018 and appeared in the popular comedies Search Party and Crank Yankers in the 2020s. Despite having only a few credits to his name, Alex Pettyfer looked like he was on track to become the next big thing. He starred as the title character in the young adult sci-fi adaptation I Am Number 4, and acted alongside Channing Tatum in the breakout hit Magic Mike. Things were going great for Pettyfer, but he seemed to let the success go to his head. Just before the release of I Am Number 4, The Hollywood Reporter ran an expose alleging that the actor had misbehaved on the set of that film in the wake of a salary standoff, as well as during production on the then upcoming film Beastly. Rather than do much damage control, Pettyfer doubled down on the animosity. In an interview with V-Man, the actor took claim at the City of Angels, saying, "LA is growing on me a little bit, but it's still a shithole. I think it's this insidious pool where nearly everyone lives in fear. Geographically, it's fantastic, but socially, it's disgusting." He even likened acting to a prison sentence, continuing, "You go, you serve your time, you try to replicate Johnny Depp's career, and then you move to Paris." Pettyfer later told the Mercury News that the interview may have led to a rift with Channing Tatum on the set of Magic Mike. Pettyfer wasn't invited back for Magic Mike XXL, and he's appeared in supporting roles and in relatively obscure projects ever since. While also an Academy Award nominee for Best Actress for her 2005 movie Transamerica, Felicity Huffman rated among the most acclaimed television actors of the 2000s. In 2005, she won an Emmy Award for Desperate Housewives, and she earned consecutive nominations from 2015 to 2017 for playing different characters in the anthology series American Crime. However, Huffman's workload diminished to nearly nothing after she was implicated in an American crime of her own. In 2019, she was one of 33 high-income parents caught by the FBI in what they called Operation Varsity Blues. The agency stated that Huffman and other parents paid consultant Rick Singer to forge and doctor data on their children's college admission applications in order to get them into top schools. Such acts are federal offenses, but Huffman still paid $15,000 for Singer to tweak her daughter's SAT results.
It felt like I would be a bad mother if I didn't do it. So I did it.
In May 2019, Huffman entered a guilty plea to counts of fraud and conspiracy. She paid a $30,000 fine and spent 11 days in prison despite being sentenced to 14. Since her legal issues came to light, Huffman has barely worked. Following a 4-year post-prison hiatus, Huffman appeared in an episode of The Good Doctor and co-starred in the narrative podcast Supreme: The Battle for Roe. A comic actor with dozens of credits to his name, Johnston was best known for his association with edgy alternative comedy. He was part of the original cast of the HBO sketch series Mr. Show with Bob and David, had a recurring role on Arrested Development, appeared in Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy, and co-starred as Officer J on the Sarah Silverman program. Years after all of those parts came and went, hundreds of people were arrested for their involvement in the siege on the U.S. Capitol building on January 6, 2021. Not everyone in the crowd was immediately identified, though. In the following months, the FBI posted pictures of anonymous rioters on social media in the hopes that people would come forward to name them. And 2 photos they shared that March looked suspiciously similar to Johnston. Comedian Tim Heidecker gave a positive identification, as did actress Cassandra Church. Johnston was arrested in June 2023 and faced a felony charge of obstruction of officers during civil disorder, as well as impeding passage on the Capitol grounds and unlawful entry of restricted property. He allegedly used a swiped Capitol Police riot shield to force back arriving authorities. At the time, Johnston's biggest gig was as the voice of Bob Belcher's snooty nemesis Jimmy Pesto on Bob's Burgers. He lost that job in December 2021, and he hasn't booked any new ones since. Jeffrey Jones rose to fame in the 80s as the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, a man who has a job to do and becomes the villain for doing it. Turns out, he's quite the villain in real life. Not only does Jones have child pornography on his record, but he also has a knack for repeatedly trying to hide that fact from the world.
I did not achieve this position in life by having some snot-nosed punk leave my cheese out in the wind.
In November 2002, Jones was arrested on suspicion that he'd hired a 14-year-old boy to pose for inappropriate pictures. He pleaded no contest and received no jail time, but he did receive 5 years probation and was ordered to register as a sex offender. That was enough to make his career skid to a halt. He's only had a few screen credits since, though he did wrangle some decent screen time on HBO's Deadwood. In 2010, years after the show ended, he sank the knife just a little deeper into his career when he was arrested for failing to update his California sex offender status, which all offenders are required to do each year. He received 3 more years probation plus 250 hours of community service. which is the most work he'd done in a while. All Will Smith had to do at the 2022 Academy Awards was show up and collect the Best Actor prize for King Richard that he was predicted to win. Unfortunately, a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head from presenting comedian Chris Rock was enough to get the former Fresh Prince to throw hands. After Rock compared Smith's wife to Demi Moore in G.I. Jane, Oscars viewers everywhere were shocked to see him slap Rock straight across the face before yelling not once, but twice, "Keep my wife's name out your f***ing mouth." Rock played the moment off with an awkward smile before giving the Best Documentary Feature award to Questlove. Smith won his own Oscar for King Richard and stated in his tearful acceptance speech, "Love will make you do crazy things." The whole thing was so bizarre that some people initially thought it was scripted. But when Smith apologized and was banned from the Academy Awards for a decade, it became clear this wasn't a choreographed stunt.
My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
That wasn't the only consequence of Smith's outburst. Apple, distributor of Smith's next movie, Emancipation, delayed the release of the completed film. Another Bad Boys movie announced in 2020 didn't enter production until 2023. After a few roles in indie films and TV series in the 2010s, Jonathan Majors' career exploded in 2020. He landed the leading role of David in Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods and starred on HBO's Lovecraft Country, for which he earned an Emmy nomination. Majors quickly lined up prominent roles in big franchise movies, including Creed 3 and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, portraying Marvel Cinematic Universe megavillain Kang the Conqueror. Majors was all set to be a focal point of Disney's MCU for years to come, starring in, at the very least, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. In March 2023, police in Manhattan responded to a 911 call reporting a domestic assault. Authorities noted the victim's visible injuries, and the accused perpetrator, Majors, was charged with assault, harassment, and strangulation. By April 2023, Majors had lost his manager, his publicist, a Texas Rangers marketing campaign, and multiple film roles. In October 2023, the release of Majors' bodybuilding movie Magazine Dreams was canceled. That same month, Disney Plus aired Season 2 of the MCU series Loki, which strongly featured Majors as Kang. It was the last project he'd complete before his arrest. Immediately after Majors was found guilty on a misdemeanor count of assault and a minor harassment charge in December 2023, Disney parted ways with Majors, removing him from its future MCU plans and dropping the Kang Dynasty from Avengers 5. You might think that being accused of double homicide would definitely ruin someone's acting career, and you'd be correct. But that didn't stop O.J. Simpson from trying to make it back to Hollywood after his infamous acquittal. Before he was tried for the murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ronald Goldman, O.J. Simpson leveraged his time as a record-breaking NFL running back into multiple appearances in movies and television shows. His most famous role was Detective Nordberg in 3 installments of The Naked Gun, which showed off his surprising comedy chops.
Now, if we just stay calm, no one's going to be harmed by the huge bomb that's going to explode any minute.
Any possibility of Simpson becoming a Hollywood legend faded after his arrest, his unforgettable white Bronco chase, and his televised trial that was viewed in millions of homes. Even though the jury found him not guilty, much of America didn't agree, and no casting agent ever dared reach out to him. In 2006, Reagan Books announced that it would release a book co-written by Simpson called If I Did It. Loaded with disturbing details, it's Simpson's hypothetical confession of committing the Brown-Goldman murders, which he still claimed that he didn't commit. The book, along with a related TV special of the same name, were canceled after major public outcry. The book eventually saw the light of day, but the special never did. That same year, Simpson tried to get back on TV by taping a pilot for a hidden prank show. Juiced featured Simpson, who countless people presumed was a violent killer sneaking up on people and scaring them. The program aired just once, as a pay-per-view special. Armie Hammer made a big impression in major movies by important directors in the 2010s. He co-starred in David Fincher's The Social Network and Clint Eastwood's J. Edgar, gave blockbusters a shot with The Lone Ranger and The Man from U.N.C.L.E., then moved back into more mature fare like Call Me By Your Name and On the Basis of Sex. About 6 months after Hammer's wife filed for divorce in the summer of 2020, an anonymous woman known only by the Instagram handle House of Effie shared texts Hammer sent her during their 4-year affair. They graphically depicted the actor's violent fantasies regarding cannibalism, vampirism, and sexual assault. More women soon came forward with similar stories about Hammer, including app developer Courtney Vucekovich. She told Page Six, "He said to me he wants to break my rib and barbecue and eat it." The Los Angeles Police Department formally opened an investigation into the actor's potentially criminal acts. Within weeks of the first allegations in early 2021, Hammer's agency cut ties with the actor, who subsequently lost all the roles in which he'd already been cast. As of 2022, the year his last completed project to date, Death on the Nile, hit theaters, Hammer was working as a timeshare salesperson in the Cayman Islands. A highly active Hollywood gadabout, James Franco stayed perpetually busy for about 20 years. After breakthrough roles in Freaks and Geeks and James Dean, he appeared in more than 100 projects, ranging from blockbusters like Spider-Man to awards contenders like 127 Hours to comedies like Pineapple Express alongside his frequent collaborator Seth Rogen. He also hosted the Academy Awards, directed narrative films, TV episodes and documentaries, published several books, and opened and operated an acting school. It's the last of these that proved to be Franco's undoing. In 2018, an actor alleged that Franco sexually assaulted her and attempted to seduce her 17-year-old friend. Franco dismissed the claims at the time, but more allegations came and led to a lawsuit filed in 2020 claiming that Franco's institution, Studio Form Film School, coerced students into making sexually charged class assignments. Franco settled the lawsuit, paying $2.2 million to his accusers.
If I've done something wrong, I will fix it. I have to.
The once prolific Franco hasn't had any big roles since 2019. Not even Seth Rogen will work with him anymore. Alongside memorable appearances in the Fantastic Beasts series, Ezra Miller had a long-standing role in Warner Bros. DC Extended Universe. The actor portrayed The Flash in Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League, setting up a big solo movie. In the long lead-up to The Flash, Miller was accused of shocking and violent behavior as well as multiple criminal acts. In 2020, a video hit the internet showing the actor throttling and shoving a woman at a bar in Iceland. 2 years later, Miller was arrested on harassment and disorderly conduct charges after multiple tense confrontations in a Hawaii karaoke bar. That same night, Miller allegedly threatened to kill the couple with whom they were temporarily living, leading to the granting of a restraining order. In April 2022, Miller threw a chair at a woman, leaving a forehead laceration. And in June 2022, they were accused of grooming a teenager, which led to another restraining order. In the midst of Miller's legal troubles, Warner and DC higher-ups met to discuss the actor's role in future projects with the company. They reportedly decided to not cast Miller in any more films after The Flash, which, upon its release a year later, proved to be a box office bomb. The DCEU was dismantled, and Miller hasn't booked any new gigs since. In 2024, Prime Video fired Miller and recast their voice role in the animated series Invincible. A child star in the early 90s on the sitcom On Our Own and the movie The Mighty Ducks, Jussie Smollett enjoyed a major second act as an adult in the 2010s with roles in Marshall, Underground, and most notably, Empire. In January 2019, it appeared that Smollett, who is black and gay, had been the victim of a hate crime. He told Chicago police that 2 men screamed out racist and anti-LGBTQ slurs before punching the actor, placing a rope around his neck, and dousing him with an unknown chemical. An investigation culminated in the arrest of the Osendaro brothers, who told Chicago police that Smollett had agreed to pay them a total of $3,500 to fake attack him. Authorities asserted that Smollett arranged the phony assault to gain sympathy and attention, possibly to earn himself a pay raise on Empire. The actor was eventually found guilty on 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct and sentenced to 150 days in jail.
I think that what people need to hear is just the truth.
If Smollett's motivations were to advance his acting career, his actions backfired massively. He never appeared on Empire again, and he hasn't acted in any other projects since. Stand-up comic T.J. Miller made a screen debut in the hit monster movie Cloverfield, then parlayed his oddball persona into dozens of comedic and voiceover roles. He's most commonly remembered as the bartender sidekick Weasel in the Deadpool movies and arrogant tech bro Erlich Bachman on HBO's Silicon Valley. In 2017, Silicon Valley wrote out Bachman. He wound up trapped in a perpetually drugged state in a Tibetan opium den. That was all done to get Miller off the show. Co-creator Mike Judge told The Hollywood Reporter, "It was kind of becoming clear that he didn't want to do the show anymore. The actor often missed taping days, and if he actually was present, he was often intoxicated." Less than a year after he lost his job on Silicon Valley, Miller was arrested for a federal crime. In March 2018, Miller drank heavily on an Amtrak train and grew loud and angry after a female passenger didn't respond to his attempts at flirtation. After a verbal altercation, Miller made a 911 call to report that the woman was in possession of a bomb. Miller was ultimately tossed off the train before his destination. The federal charge of reporting a false bomb threat was dropped in 2021. That was the last year to date that Miller has acted professionally, voicing a character in an episode of the animated series F is for Family. Celebrity sex tapes have been a thing for a while, but one of the earliest examples came courtesy of actor Rob Lowe. A video of him hooking up with two girls became copied and sold at large, but while one of his partners was 22, the other was only 16. Lowe rose to prominence as a member of the Brat Pack in the early and mid-'80s, appearing in movies like St. Elmo's Fire and Youngblood. He was in Atlanta to attend the 1988 Democratic National Convention, which is where the tape was created. And since the legal age of consent in Georgia was 14 at the time, Lowe escaped prosecution. His public image was dealt further damage when a second clip showing him and a friend having sex with a woman at the same time surfaced. While he admits that he has never been completely out of work, Lowe is aware how much of his career those tapes cost him, telling GQ that he lost out on a role in Titanic because of the fallout. But Lowe tenaciously crawled his way back up the Hollywood food chain, where all of this tawdry business has been almost completely forgotten. Lowe has since made a splash in Wayne's World, The West Wing, and Parks and Recreation. Roseanne was so popular during its run from 1988 to 1997 that it got a revival in the spring of 2018. Starring Roseanne Barr as Midwestern matriarch Roseanne Connor, the 9-episode reboot was at one point the third most watched show on all of broadcast TV. A renewal came after just one episode had aired, but ABC abruptly reversed their decision on May 29, 2018. Hours earlier, Barr posted on X, then Twitter, "Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby, equals VJ." Barr had suggested that Valerie Jarrett, a black woman and senior advisor to President Barack Obama, held radical Islamic beliefs and resembled a primate. After the cancellation, Barr explained that she'd tweeted while under the influence of a powerful sleeping pill. She said in a later deleted tweet, "I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I am truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks.
I made a mistake, and I've paid the price for it."
Barr's representation dropped her. Reruns of Roseanne temporarily disappeared from television, and ABC reworked the reboot into The Connors, a new version of Roseanne with the same cast but with Barr's character killed off. 5 years later, Barr resurfaced with a comedy special called Cancel This for the little-known streaming service Fox Nation.